Hello, everybody. Kris from the Brothers Take here with another bonus segment of the podcast where I wanted to share my take on season one of X-Men 97, the new animated series that's on Disney Plus. The entire season is now out, and don't worry, this won't have any spoilers in it of any kind. This is not a spoiler cast. Rather, this is just to urge people who haven't watched it yet to please watch it. This show is great. Now, I've always been a big fan of comic books and superheroes, and everyone has their favorites. Batman's always been number one for me, Spider-Man number two, and X-Men number three. They are my top three favorites, always have been. And I think a big part of that is I grew up in the 90s. I was a 90s kid, and in the 90s these three properties have all had amazing animated shows that I watched as a kid, and then of course they all had their movie series too. So like this was just a big part of pop culture in my life. There was Batman the animated series was incredible, Spider-Man the animated series was incredible, and then there was the X-Men series of the 90s which serialized their storytelling. There was true lines, there was storylines that you actually followed. It was like almost like a soap opera, for superhero kids, basically. And it always X-Men always had such interesting themes and allowed for social and political commentary. And it's the mutants are always a really, really great substitute for any group of any kind that feels ostracized or that are being pushed out. The us versus them kind of questions, and it just allows for great storytelling while also having such interesting, fleshed out, and colorful characters. And this series, X-Men 97, is not only a direct continuation of that original series in the 90s, which is crazy, first of all, but it continues on those themes. Like, they're very adult themes told in a really flashy, fun cartoon. But like, I don't even know if this is for kids, really. Like, there's nothing in it that kids couldn't watch. But I don't know if kids will really be engrossed by it nowadays. I think this is really for people who grew up watching the show. Like this, it's just so much nostalgia watching it. They've done an amazing job at kind of homaging the old animation style, but it's also very new and flashy and new. It doesn't feel like, say, a dated cartoon of any kind. It feels very modern while also feeling like it's in the art style of the original show. And the music. There's two shows now where like if you're binging a show and after a while you would skip the intro because you're jumping straight into the show. There are now two series where I will never skip the intro. One of them is Stranger Things. I never ever skip the intro to Stranger Things because I think it sets the tone for every episode. The other one now is this. I never skipped the intro. No, in all the episodes. It is incredible. 10 out of 10 for just the intro. But then the music throughout is so good. Not only like the reorchestrations of the original theme, but just like all throughout, like there's incredible music. There's lots of great storylines going on, but just like in the original show, there is a true line story that if you watch it through, if you stick with it, by the end, it all connects, it all clicks, and it gets epic, And I'm not saying everything in here is going to work for everyone, but I think this is the best piece. This is the best thing to come out of Marvel Studios since Endgame. Hands down. And Magneto is one of Marvel's best characters. And this series understands that and further highlights that. And it's a real shame we didn't have X-Men in the MCU in a way like before Endgame, because it would have been so interesting to see some of these characters in that plot line. And I would have loved to have seen where Magneto would have fallen in there somewhere. And I can't wait to see how he might be brought to life in the future again. I mean, he's been played incredibly well on screen before by Sir Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender, but I'd love to see more interpretations. This guy is easily one of the best characters Marvel has. And then, of course, you got all your other great characters. You're the Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey and Storm. And, the voice acting is great. The writing is both cheesy and amazing. Like, they managed to capture some of that 90s cheesiness while also just having incredible character moments throughout. It is actually just an incredible show. And I think by the end of the year, it'll be one of the best shows of the year in any category, not just animated. It is that good, and it gets really epic. And I also, just because we're primarily a gaming podcast, it was really like I had a mad flashback when watching it. I got flashback to there was an old fighting game on the PS2 called X-Men Next Dimension. This brought me back to that. And I was like, I forgot all about that game. My God. And it just made me so nostalgic for like my love of X-Men. And I went back and started watching the movies then. I just got in the mood for X-Men again. And yeah, they give all the characters the spotlight. You know, they don't just hone in on Wolverine being the popular character and putting him front and center. In fact, he sidelines a little bit, which is sort of the way it was in the 90s cartoons anyway. He always had, you know, his key storylines in his episodes too, but like Cyclops was always like the leader of the team. And this goes right back to that. They're not just like, you know, putting Wolverine front and center because they know how popular Wolverine is. They're actually honoring the entire X-Men cast. Rogue has a great arc here. Jean Grey is such a great character. I don't want to give too much away. There's a few new characters brought in as well that I don't remember from the 90s. Gambit, of course. I always loved Gambit. Gambit was one of my favorite characters growing up. And he's got great roles in here. But yeah, like I said, Magneto is just incredible. And I don't want to say why. You just got to watch it. You just got to watch all the shit that he does, everything that goes on, all the arcs. But yeah, so that's... I don't want to harken on too much. Basically, X-Men 97 Season 1 is an incredible show, and I can't wait for Season 2. I really hope they continue this. I cannot wait to see what they do with it. And I'm curious how they might handle X-Men in the MCU when it comes to the live action stuff. But I don't. Maybe they'll take inspiration from this. This is the tone. This show gets it. This is X-Men as it should be, basically. And by the way, they also adapt a lot of storylines from the comics. Like they're maybe doing it quicker than the comics did, but a lot of this stuff is like canon in the comics. Like if you're a comic book fan, you'll recognize these characters, these storylines, these relationships, and all this stuff. And if you're not, then it's just told in a very digestible way anyway. But it is great. So that's my glowing review for X-Men '97. I absolutely loved it. Would watch it again and can't wait for season 2. But I want to hear what you guys thought. If you've already watched it, let me know, what did you think of X-Men '97? Did you have a favorite episode? Do you have a favorite character? What do you hope to see in season 2? If you watch this YouTube, jump down in the comments, share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this bonus review, then please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell for all future content. Not just our weekly episodes, but bonuses like this that happen on and off whenever we get inspiration for another topic that's outside of our weekly podcast. To those of you listeners on the audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on X-Men '97. Thank you so much for checking out this review. I really do hope to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought of X-Men '97, and we'll see you in the next one.